And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Three Fifths Podcast. I'm, as always, your semi-quasi sort of host. Wait, this isn't Three Fifths Podcast. This is GoTYaThrones, part of the Three Fifths Podcast Network. I really just jumped right into that. Well, you can tell which one I've been doing longer. Force of habit. But this is GoTYaThrones with me at AYRRYK on Twitter, Eric, and as always, joined by the Countess at Carmilla Lusta on Twitter. It is CC.
It's lit.
Yes, lots of things were lit this week. All right, let me get the housekeeping stuff out of the way first really quick. As you should know by now, you can find us at 3fifthspodcast.com. That is three spelled out fifths, Fifs. You can also find us on Twitter at the number 3 Fifths Podcast. You can also find us on Stitcher. Search 3 Fifths Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, which if you are watching this is where you are seeing this. Search 3 Fifths Podcast. Like our channel, subscribe to our channel, like our videos. Share them with your friends. Share them with your enemies. If you hate your friends, share them with your friends. Whichever one, just like us, share us. If you leave a 5-star review on Stitcher, we will read it on air. The same will likely extend to iTunes if we ever make it there. I believe that is all of our major stuff. Oh, also, as you know, we recap every Monday. Next week, obviously, is the last episode of Game of Thrones. That will be episode 10. We will be doing our normal review on Monday the 15th, but we'll be doing a special show on Monday the 22nd where we will recap the entire season as well as take any questions or comments from you all. We'll be doing that through Spreecast, where the main show has already moved to. We won't be moving there until after the season is over, and so kind of our final feedback show will be there so that you all get a chance to participate. If you don't have a Spreecast or won't be available at 8 Central on Monday, June 22nd, then please feel free to leave comments on these videos, leave comments on our website, tweet at us with the hashtag GoTYaThrones, and we will respond to all questions and comments during the show. So if you can't be there for the live show, please reach out to us over the next week or two to give us a chance to address any questions you might have, concerns you might have, feedback you might have. We'll be doing all of that during our live feedback show and season-long recap on June 22nd. I believe that is all the housekeeping stuff, so let's get kind of into the review. So, Cece, what did you think overall of this episode?
Game of Thrones taketh, and Game of Thrones gives to you. Because Stannis is back on my fuck this bitch list. And Daenerys is back on my yes bitch list.
Yeah, there were some ups and downs. There were some ups and downs this week. I have to agree overall, I really liked this episode. I don't know if I can... I feel like maybe overall this was a better episode than last week. I think... Last week still has Zombie Attack going for it, which it's really tough to top Zombie Attack. Not to mention one of the greatest mic drops we've ever seen with the Night's King at the end. So as great and exhilarating as this was, I mean, Dany didn't really drop the mic. She kind of just ditched her friends. So, you know, a bit different there.
Dany was the designated driver who got pissed off and left.
Pretty much. But I also had the opportunity to rewatch this episode, which I really wanted to do because I live tweet during the actual show, which sometimes makes it tough to really catch everything that happens, tough to really see everything going on unless you pause it and then you start falling behind everybody else. And so I really like to try and rewatch these episodes, and I finally got the chance to again this week. That also means we'll be going through this episode in chronological order. So we start off at the north. where Stannis' army is freezing, and we see some fires getting lit. This likely harkens back to the fact that Ramsay said all he needed was 20 good men to screw over Stannis, and they proceed to. My first thought watching this, as Melisandre's out there, her eyes huge, staring at these flames, is, don't you worship a fire god? How can you not fix this for him? Like, this is right in your wheelhouse. This is what you do.
Bitch. I think that's because the fire is in a pussy. That's where it is. You don't know how to do shit else.
Well, that could be. I mean, maybe R'hllor only goes for starting fires. Like, he's not here for stopping or controlling them. He just, some people just want to watch the world burn, and that's R'hllor's MO. Like, look, I just light the fires. I don't stop the fires. That's the only explanation I can come up with here.
Thought you were gonna say he's just here so he don't confine.
Then we jump to the wall where Jon and his merry band of wildlings have returned with a giant in tow, though no solid explanation of how that giant made it, because there's no way he got on those boats.
No, he walked. If you remember.
So the giant walked.
Yeah,
but he was walking towards the boat.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me he walked all the way down?
He did.
How did he not freeze? That water is cold.
He's a giant. There's a lot of stuff he can do that normal humans can't.
That's bull, and you know it.
Hey. This show got fucking dragons in it.
Look, the giants are still humanoid. If the giants could walk through ice water like that, why did he ever feel there was a problem? Couldn't he have just skated any time? Why was he even worried about the White Walkers? They're like, oh, whatever.
That's why he walked in the water, and when he was walking where he was picking off the White Walkers, like, get off.
You know that doesn't make any sense.
Come on. This is a show with dragons.
You know that doesn't make any sense.
Show with fucking dragons.
There are still rules to the world.
Demons that raise the damn dead.
There are still rules to a world. When you establish those rules, you have to obey them.
Well,
you can't just be like
Golem.
I don't know why. Look, there are rules.
Human.
Rules get established, and you have to follow them. Nothing we have ever been told suggests that giants can just walk into the sea. Not to mention, he's not that tall. So it's not like he could just walk next to the boats. He's a giant, but he's not that big. So you just walk along the coast the whole time.
There's
holes here, you know it. There are some logical holes in this continuity, and you know it.
Mm-hmm. Talking about logic in the show with dragons. Come on now.
So they show up at the wall, and it looks for a minute like Sir Alistair isn't going to open up the gates, which I still hold might be a smart move. I mean, look, nothing that great has come in recent history from the wildlings going over this wall. It's pretty much just ended up in dead people.
But for real, why did Jon Snow look like he just got in from the party and he was looking at his dad, knowing his ass was supposed to be home hours ago?
Yeah. Like, look, I mean, I know it's after curfew, and I know I wasn't supposed to take the car, and I know I was supposed to put gas in it, but can my friends crash the night?
That's exactly what it looked like.
I mean, they've been drinking. Do you want them to drive home drunk?
Safety first.
That seems like a terrible plan. So, look, can they please stay? And so Sir Alistair lets them in. Jon and Sam are talking about the whole mission. Jon is like, it was a total failure. And Sam was like, no, it wasn't. He wouldn't be alive if you hadn't done this, and neither would they. And I was sitting there like, no, it was a total failure. You weren't there, Sam. They got their asses kicked.
Sweetie, how many wildlings got killed? 50,000 almost got killed versus the 5,000 maybe that came in. Yeah, that's a total fucking failure.
Yeah, it was an utter failure. Jon continues to sulk. And then Ollie the Poisoner shows up, giving Jon the stink eye. Look, kill the boy.
Kill the damn boy.
I know a lot of you have probably had your fill of child murder at this point, and I completely understand that. No one wants to see a child killed, but Jon needs to get rid of him. He needs to get rid of him right now.
Fuck that, kill him. I root these. How you guys gonna get a conscience all now when you were rooting for Joffrey to die?
Exactly. Kill Ollie now. He's a problem. You can see it every time he looks at Jon. That stupid advice Sam gave him. The only lesson it taught him was sometimes I have to do things that are unpopular because I think they're right, which means I should kill Jon. That is what he took away from that. And you all know it. Jon is next. Then Sir Alistair comes by, tells him, "You have a good heart, Jon Snow. It'll get us all killed." And he's probably right. He's probably right.
He might be bitter, but he might have a point.
All of history that we've seen so far would tell us probably. So then we go back to Stannis' camp. Stannis has told Sir Davos, "You're going back to Castle Black. Tell Jon Snow to send me as many men as he can to reinforce my army. And then after I become king, I will make sure that the Night's Watch has so many people that he could stop, that he could, man all 19 towers if he wanted to." This is important because this is a direct violation of the Night's Watch's oath. Because if he sends them any men besides the wildlings, he's violating the Night's Watch oath to stay out of the affairs of the realm.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Bravos, he's like, "Why are you sending me?"
He knows it's a trick. He can tell it's a trick. That's why he tries to get Shireen. He's like, "Let me take Shireen and Selyse." Like he cares about Selyse. Look, let me just get Shireen out then.
Mm-hmm. And Stannis is like, "No, my family stays with me." Bastard.
As much as his family is going to be around, is staying with him. Then we cut to outside where Stannis' army is freezing to death. It looks like one dude is like, if he's not dead, he's about to be dead as he sits there freezing, shivering, staring off into nothing. So Davos goes and visits Shireen, asks her about the book, The Dance of Dragons, where we learn the story of Sir Brian or Byron, who wants to slay a dragon. And so he takes and polishes his shield up really good so it looks like a mirror, then crouches behind it and slowly creeps up on the dragon. And the dragon is just like, "Yeah, you're an idiot with a shield," and burns him alive. Yeah. Foreshadowing. Then Davos gives Shireen a present. She's like, "Oh, this is great. Will you make me a dough?" "Sure, I'll make you a dough to go with it." Shireen knows something is up. Like, "Why am I getting this present?" And Davos tells her it's because she deserves it, not because he knows he's probably not going to see her again. Then he's like, "Thank you for teaching me to be a grown-up, because you're not going to be a grown-up, because I know where this is going, even if I want to live in denial of it." And then he's like, "Well, you'll have to read me The Dance of Dragons when I get back." She's like, "Read it for yourself." Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Oh, man. Cough coming on. Like, as shocked and appalled as everyone was, I feel like part of it is, look, you had to know this was coming. Since season 2, they have been setting up that she wants Shireen's blood, that there's power in King's blood, that she doesn't like this kid, and that she's been trying to get her hands on anyone that she thinks Stannis will burn alive in order to sacrifice to her god. And now Stannis is in dire straits. He needs a way out of this, and he's hitched his wagon to the God of Light. And everything, like almost every time you see her in this episode, it is clearly broadcasting something is about to happen to Selyse and Shireen. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have been appalled. I'm saying, how surprised could you have been?
Do you know where you are?
I mean, Cersei told us, and what was that? Season 4? Everywhere in the world they hurt little girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she was talking to Oberyn, and Oberyn was like, "In Dorne, we do not hurt little girls." And Cersei just looks at him. Everywhere in the world, they hurt little girls.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Stannis himself visits Shireen.
Nope, not yet, not yet. We go to Dorne next.
Oh, Dorne.
This is when Jamie walks into the room, and Princess Myrcella is chilling with Tristan. He's like, "Put some clothes on, girl." And she's just like, "I'm comfortable how I am, uncle," because she doesn't know Jamie's a pappy.
Mm-hmm.
Doran is unamused. "You decided to enter my country in secret and take my guest by force because you thought there was some, thing about her." And Jamie's like, "Look, we received a threat. I came here to handle things because we didn't know who was sending the threat." Um, Doran doesn't want war. He's trying to make peace with the Lannisters. He knows what the horrors of war is. We've seen it throughout this entire series, and he would rather make peace with people he doesn't like than have his people suffer that way. So they all make a toast to Tommen's health.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah, that's good leadership. Not being petty like Cersei. Like, no, I'll let everyone suffer if it means I get my revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Is what Ilaria is trying to do.
Oberyn's main bitch.
Yes.
Question.
So,
were they married, or she was just the main bitch?
She was just his main. They were not married.
That's what I thought.
That's why whenever Doran talks to her, you never hear him say wife. Like, "My brother loved you very much. You are the mother of some of my nieces, and I care very much for them and hope that you live a long, happy life." Like, but you notice he never says a wife because they were not married, which also tells you about the culture of Dorne, or at least the culture of the Martell family, where they allow the main side chick or the girlfriend of their dead brother to continue to hang out, live in the palace, eat all their food, and talk shit. Like, that's a pretty progressive family.
Yep. But then
then she can't act right in front of company.
He gets a little background. He's like, "Oh, you've been good to my niece, my brother, you're my niece's mom, but bitch, watch your place."
Yes. So, but not yet. So we see Ilaria can't act right for 5 minutes. She pours the drink out when they're supposed to toast to Tommen.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just sitting there looking because this is a problem. Like, you can't be doing this, especially not in front of the Lannister family, who they're supposed to be making this alliance with. And then Doran makes his first move. He tells Jamie, "Look, I'm totally going to send Myrcella back to King's Landing with you. That's what Tommen wants. Of course I can't refuse. Though Tristan must go with her.
Mm-hmm.
He is the betrothed. If we want to continue this alliance, then she still has to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
And you had promised my brother a position on the small council before he died, so Tristan will also go to take the position on the small council." So Doran has now expertly okayed Tommen's demands, which are really Cersei's demands, to have Myrcella back, but he gets Tristan's eyes and ears in King's Landing and gets a voice on the small council that they cannot refuse lest they lose the support of the Martell house. And already the Tyrells are shaky. The Boltons are already turning on them and making other alliance deals. You can't trust Baelish as far as you can throw him. So Jamie also knows they can't really afford to lose the support of the Martell family. No matter how much Cersei doesn't want it, he has to go on that council.
Mm-hmm. And of course, as we all know, Cersei's locked up, so her opinion don't mean shit now.
Exactly. So the decision will go to Kevin anyway, and Kevin will realize the importance of maintaining peace and put him somewhere on the small council. Things then turn to Bronn. Oh, actually, then Ilaria yells at Doran for, agreeing to go along with this, at which point she tells him he has no spine, which is when Doran says, "You're the mother of 4 of my nieces. For their sake, I hope you live a long and happy life. Speak to me that way again, and you won't." Like, look, I'm cool, but I ain't that cool.
Bitch, learn your place.
This dude carries an axe for a reason. So we then cut to the jail where Bronn is listening to them play the slap game. Siblings are such a joy. They have this continuing back and forth as this older sister is clearly slapping the younger one's hands because she can't move her hands fast enough to get out of the way. You then get to see her begin to wheedle her way into her sister's head and begin to play mind games with her. Now you're thinking too much. Now you're worried you're going to miss. Now your reaction time will be too slow. She swings and she misses. And she plays it off as like, well, this was just, it was a fluke. Like it wasn't anything serious. She's like, all right, your turn, though you're not going to hit me. And then we get, what did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap! At which point they're about to fight. But that also proves, I think, a great point about the fact that these are Oberyn's daughters.
Mm-hmm.
What would Oberyn have done? He would have played this game. He would have gotten into their heads. And then when it was his turn to go, as we saw when he first showed up, everyone else has long swords. He pulls a dagger and jams it through the guy's wrist because in a close quarters fight like this, swords are long and slow. Here, you need a dagger. And so that's what she does. Of course, you're going to be able to dodge my hands with your hands. Your reaction time is too fast. But I have to hit you where you don't expect it.
And then, of course, they go and getting, what's his name in the other cell?
Bronn out of the cell.
They get Bronn out of the cell. And, of course, the youngest says things like, who's the prettiest girl in the world? And he's like, you are, because
you hear the oldest one, Obara, call her a slut.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Who's been pretending to be asleep this whole time, or at least trying to go to sleep while they fight.
They're making all that damn racket.
So then we see them go into meet Tristan, where Bronn kind of apologizes for hitting him. And Tristan agrees to let him go on one condition. And then we get the second slap of the scene. And Doran adds the nice, maybe soup instead of pie.
Shade.
That's how you know. Look, we may not know what Doran's game is, like, or maybe he really does just want people to be at peace, but he's still Oberyn's older brother. Like, there's clearly a guy who knows what he's doing here, or at least has a plan if everyone else seems to be revolting against it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we go to Braavos with Arya, who they also kind of broadcast where this is going to go. Because if you remember when she's first wheeling her barrel down, yelling, clams and cockles and all that. Yes. And the 2 guys walk up to her, and one of them goes, how much for your little clam? And then they laugh and walk off. Creepy motherfuckers. Yes, because that was a great joke. But then Arya goes down. She's supposed to be poisoning a man here, and she takes her eye off the ball on her first mission.
She's playing side missions, which she's supposed to be doing a mission.
And so she completely ignores the guy who is trying to get her food. He's yelling for her to come over so that she can get he can get some of these oysters so that she can poison him. And instead, she starts following Mace and Sir Meryn Trant. Mace being an idiot the whole time. He offers a guy who doesn't drink wine. He sings in public and tries to get a guy to sing with him. Justin, Mace is such an idiot.
This is why Grandma Martell, Olena, runs the damn family.
Yes. Though she does talk about the fact that his dad was an idiot too. So it may just be a trait in the men in the family that they're dumb.
Not a Terrell. She married into it too. So
True. So it could just be that, the Tyrells are a bunch of idiots and they just marry better. Or the women do all the thinking in the family.
yep, the women do the thinking because remember back during the Age of Heroes, they said that when Aegon Targaryen came, the wife of House Tyrell said, "Yeah, give him the reach. Don't cause no problems."
That's true. So they have a long tradition of that. Though it was like House Flowers or something like that was originally in charge. Then Aegon burnt them all to a crisp.
Yep.
The Tyrells were like the steward house.
Yeah,
that basically got the come up. Like, hey, I mean, we're here. We're already in the house. Why not let us keep it?
And Aegon was like, okay.
All the same to me. So then Sir Meryn takes his men to the whorehouse. He talks shit about Mace on the way. And then when his men are like, so are you paying? He's like, I'm paying for me, but I'm not good at sharing. Like, whoa, dude. You're even going to take your men to a whorehouse and you're not going to pay? Like, you're just going to make them wait and watch? Sir Meryn is a jerk.
Asshole.
So Arya gets into the whorehouse because one of the ladies of the night working there is like, hey, I like the cut of her jib and I'm hungry. Buy me some oysters. And the John isn't going to say no because, look, that's what he's here for. Give her money. Though I did wonder, does she get in based on luck or could this woman be another faceless person?
Good plot twist.
Like, was this a faceless person who was like, let her in because she doesn't know if she's here on a job or not? Or was it just, dumb luck? Like, I mean, I guess we won't know for another episode or maybe till next season, but it struck me in the moment that it was oddly fortuitous that this woman just gave her permission to come in and stick around.
Kind of funny. They don't really like kids there.
Well,
considering.
So, yeah. So then Arya watches Sir Meryn through a screen, and we learn a little more about Sir Meryn as the madam seems to bring up more and more girls for him, and each time he says too old, and eventually the lady figures out what it is that he's looking for. Then one of Sir Meryn's men spots Arya, gets some clams, brings her into the other room. The other guy, who's the other guard, eats some clams, and we notice that Sir Meryn focuses in on her. It doesn't seem like he recognizes her, but we also know that he's a pedophile at this point, so it seems like he is interested in Arya, especially after they bring out the other girl, at which point even his men look at him like, the fuck, man?
The fuck wrong with you?
All he says is good. Like, his men are freaked out. The madam is like forcing a smile onto her face. Like, he refuses the hourglass thing. Like, I'll tell you when we're done. And then tells her to have a fresh one for him the next day.
He's a pedo who likes virgin little girls.
Apparently. When you freak out Lannister guards, like, I feel like Lannister guards, especially if they've been in the war, have to have seen and done a lot of terrible things. And when they look at you like, that's fucked up, man. That's real fucked up.
Something's wrong with you. And then you say, no wonder Cersei likes him.
Yeah. So then Arya gets shooed out and goes back to the House of Black and White, where Murder Genie clearly knows she's lying. clearly can tell. Where she's just like, he wasn't hungry today, and he's just like, well, maybe that's why a man is thin.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, maybe tomorrow. And he says tomorrow. When he says tomorrow, it doesn't sound like a request or a maybe. It
It's like,
sounds like he's saying, you take care of this tomorrow. Because I know you're lying to me. And I'm going to let it slide. But you kill this guy tomorrow.
better kill this motherfucker.
And then the guy who he just gave some of the poison water passes out. And he's like, look, you got work to do. Go clean them bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So then we jump back to Dorne, where we get a scene of Elaria re-swearing fealty to Doran while the handcuffed Sand Snakes watch. She cries as she kisses the ring, and Doran tells her, I believe in second chances. I don't believe in third chances. How did you take this scene?
I took it like it was basically like a pimp hand power move. Like, all right, listen, bitch, I've been nice. I'm still the prince, and I will still kill your ass without a second thought if you ever fucking disrespect me and forget where the fuck your place is. It was like a virtual slap.
I took it that way a little bit, but I also thought,
I think the bitch is faking too.
I think that there's something we missed in the scene, like either a conversation before or after. Because she goes to Jamie right after this. I got the suggestion from it that there is still something Doran has up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Because he tells her, I don't believe in third chances. And she immediately goes to Jamie and starts talking about how she knows that he's sleeping with Cersei, but that she doesn't care and it wouldn't be as big a deal in Dorne. And that maybe Myrcella and he were not part of Oberyn's death after making fun of his handwriting. I got the sense that Doran was potentially using her for something. And that's why he specifically says, I don't believe in third chances. Not just do I want you to swear fealty to me, but I need you to go do something and you can't fail.
And when you think about now how she told Jamie how she knew she was sleeping with Sir, he said, nobody would have blinked an eye if your last name was Targaryen.
Yes. Like,
but then again, he's probably is up to something, because when you think about it, the Lannisters are the kind of the reason why his sister's dead.
Yeah, they're the reason his family's dead.
And her children.
Yes, and so I still feel like there's something else going on here. You could also call it book reader bias, though. Honestly, almost everything about the story as it is now versus the story in the books is different. So I can't, like, this could literally, it could just be everything we're seeing exactly on the surface. Part of me just feels like Doran still has something up his sleeve. Else, why spend all this time here? Like, what has really happened? They showed up. Bronn got punched in the face. Tristan got punched in the face. And they're taking Myrcella back to King's Landing. I feel like there's got to be something else in like the final episode or something that gives us a payoff for how much time we have spent here, given everything else happening in the world. We haven't seen Bran or Rickon all season. You're going to tell me that watching Jamie and Bronn trips down to Dorne, hang out for a little bit and leave was more important than their storyline? Like, what? Something else. I feel like something else has to be going on here. Else, what was the point of all this?
Well, we also got to remember it's Game of Thrones, so everybody got a fucking plot, unless there's a Stark.
True. Well, even the Starks had plots. They were just bad at them.
Ugh.
I mean, Ned still had a plot. He was still trying to put, Stannis on the throne. He wrote the wrong thing down on Robert Baratheon's last will and testament. Like, he just wasn't good at plotting. He warned the person he was plotting against before he tried to carry out a plot.
That's why the Starks suck at this.
Yeah, that's like me going to you, hey, Cece, I'm gonna make a series of attack ads against you that attack you on this front. All right, see you later. Got to go make those attack ads. Like, of course you're gonna preempt all of them. I told you what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, got the attack. These little vicious,
so just stupid decisions. But yeah, so hopefully we will get a little bit of time in Dorne next week to explain why we've spent all this time in Dorne, because it doesn't feel like Dorne is paying off at all right now. Like, all the other plot lines, you're getting stuff at the Wall, you're getting stuff with Stannis and Shireen. Obviously, you're about to get a bunch right here. You've been getting stuff in Marine, all kinds of stuff in King's Landing. Like, what? Why are we in Dorne other than to see Jaime's day trip vacation with Bronn? Like, something's got to give here. So hopefully we'll get some of that next week, though. It's probably going to be pretty packed since we're probably going to get more oh my goodness, I'm blanking out now. More of the Boltons.
Mm-hmm.
We might get a little more Stannis. We have to get some Cersei in there. We're probably going to get some Brienne, so there may not even be room for us to get some more Dorne, but I feel like they got to give us something before the end of the season to explain why we spent all this time there.
We've been so focused on Cersei, we forgot Marjorie's locked up too.
Yeah, like, we haven't got Marjorie out. Like, I guess that's my other thought is, it doesn't feel like Dorne has paid off yet, and I don't know. They went over on this episode a little bit, I believe. I feel like this was at least an average to maybe a little longer episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get, half the storylines didn't even get brought up. So, where I don't know how they're going to fit all those storylines in to get those to decent points too, because I still feel like Dorne hasn't really gotten to a point where I feel like I should care what happens there next season.
Basically. I'm like, oh, it's pretty.
Yeah, that's really it. So then we go back to the north, where Stannis has now paid Shireen a visit, and she tells him about the Dance of Dragons. It tore the kingdom in two. Brother fought brother, and that the Targaryens have never really recovered. And he's like, well, if you had to choose between the two of them, who would you have chosen? She's like, I wouldn't have chosen either. It's all the choosing sides that made everything so horrible. Then she's like, I want to help you, which I'm pretty sure I tweeted out. I certainly wrote on my recap as I was going back through it in all caps, don't agree to help him, Shireen. Like, he spends a bunch of time then talking about destiny, about fulfilling your destiny, about knowing who you are, about becoming the man you were destined to be. But he doesn't mention a bunch: family, love, honor, respectability, custom, humanity, having a soul, which is another huge foreshadowing. Like, some bad things are about to happen here. Shireen again tells him, I want to help, and he hugs her, and all you hear him say is, forgive me, which is the moment everyone should have gone, terrible things are about to happen.
Motherfucker.
So I'd had another question at this point. As we see Shireen walking towards the pyre, where did all the wood come from? We've seen nothing but frozen wasteland around them. Clear, frozen tundra. Where did they get all that wood? Have they been hauling around wood for building for human sacrifice pyres just in case?
They probably got some from Castle Black.
They hauled it all the way down. Have they been burning people the whole time? Did I miss some human sacrifice along the way? Like,
well, when the horses got burned up, Stannis was talking about grilling for
well,
meat.
yeah, I mean, you butcher them for meat. Look, that's what you do with horses. I know everyone loves horses. They're beautiful animals. Look, when it's you or the horse is going to bite it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, I guess they do have to be cooking them over something, but that seems like a big sacrifice still. Like, hey, we could use this food to cook you all hot meals and to make fires so you all can stay alive, but instead we're going to use it to kill this little girl. That seems a big risk. That seems a big risk with the last of the firewood.
They're like, hey, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it.
So she then realizes something is terribly wrong, and now Firecrotch wants to show up after the dirty work has largely been done. When it's all over but lighting the fire, now she wants to be here. You couldn't do anything about fire 40 minutes ago at the beginning of this episode. Then fire was too much for you. But now, when it's time to light someone else up, you're here.
You're here.
Useless.
Fucking bitch.
So they tie her up. She screams for her father. He really lets them put her up there. And Selyse is standing next to Stannis. And at first you think she's trying to convince him that this is okay, but it becomes very quickly clear. She's trying to convince herself that this is the right thing to do. Because after what, 12 years of being terrible to this child, now she suddenly has some maternal instincts.
And she's like, wait, no, she's running to, and I'm like, this bitch actually trying to save her.
Well, she looks at Stannis, and I think she finally realizes the monster she has created. Because you have to remember, she is the one who was the follower of the Lord of Light, who was trying to convince Stannis and everybody else to change religions and follow R'hllor. And now she realizes, oh my goodness, he's insane. He was a jerk before. He's still a jerk, but now he's a jerk who burns people alive.
Oh, yo, stupid, crazy ass. And I saw the reactions when everybody is like, Stannis, you let this bitch kill your child. Because only qualifying thing we had about Stannis was that he seemed like a better dad than everybody else in Westeros.
Which is not a very high bar.
Now he's on the fucking bottom.
Yeah. Being the best living father in Westeros is fairly easy. It mainly involves not killing your children. Like, that's basically don't kill your children. Don't put them in situations to be killed. Congratulations, you're father of the year. And Stannis failed that. He literally sold his soul in the hopes of winning a kingdom for a religion we're not even sure he believes in.
I was so fucking pissed.
And yeah.
It's like, I knew it was foreshadowing. I figured out when he went to Shireen with that bullshit, he was gonna kill her. But I meant before then, I should have known this motherfucker.
Yeah. Stannis, well, and I mean, they talk about the fact no one wants Stannis to be a king. He's a hard man. He's a cold man. He doesn't inspire loyalty or trust. He's a very, by the book, by the rules kind of guy. And apparently, when he thinks he's owed something, he doesn't let silly stuff like morality or family or not being a kinslayer, not burning your daughter alive at a stake, keep him from getting those things. And that's why no one wanted Stannis for king.
Stannis, you were talking about, well, I have the right claim. Bitch, you don't deserve it.
Yes, and even if he does become king now, you've killed your only heir. So, I mean, yes, you'll be king, and then you can name someone else your heir, but by odds, you're not having another kid at this point, unless he burns his wife too, and marries someone new, and then gets a kid from her, Like, you're out of heirs. So who replaces you after that?
Wow.
Like, what is the plan here?
He probably don't even care about an heir. He just wants to be on the throne.
Yeah. And so he's fucking up. And then we go to the palate cleanser, really. The part is it's supposed to help us forget about the fact that a small child was just burnt alive by her father. We go to Marine, where Daenerys is in the Great Pit. Her and the crew show up for the games. The chair next to her is empty. His Dar shows up late and just says, I'm just making sure everything is in order. There's no one who heard him say this who didn't go, don't trust him. Don't trust him. This is a trap. It's a trap.
Mm-hmm. It's a trap.
So then our announcer for the evening, Metallica fan 1973, comes out to welcome everybody to the great games. Look, when we went north, the people who were standing out there looked like they were there for a Slayer concert in the winter. And now we get this guy who looks like in his spare time, he rocks out to a lot of Metallica. And he comes out and he introduces the first set of guys, the thin man versus the strong man. Danny has to clap to start. The clapper for apparently murder games. Then Dario starts into this whole story about how when he was in the fighting pits, people would always bet for the strong man against him, and they would always lose. His Dar's like, look, in my experience, it's the strong man who wins over the weaker man. And then Danny can't let his Dar disrespect the side dick. She's like, hey, how many times have you fought in the pits? You know, when did you have to kill a man? Oh, so you don't know about killing a guy. Maybe let's listen to the guy who's made it out the fighting pits. And they both sit there with smug smiles on their faces just before the skinny guy gets his head cut off by the stronger man. And you see the smiles drop off both of their faces while his Dar gets a big grin across his because he was right. The guy dies because Dario is always wrong. And I don't know why anyone listens to him anymore. This guy is never right.
Danny just wants to dick. That's the only reason.
Yeah, well, she's clearly dickmatized, but still. It's a bad plan to listen to him. He just keeps being wrong.
Wrong. And then, of course, Tyrion, he's watching. He's like, you know, my father would have loved you.
Yes, he's like, there's always been enough death in the world for my tastes. His Dar's like, well, what great has ever been accomplished without death? To which Tyrion replies, it's easy to confuse what is with what ought to be, especially when what is has worked in your favor. Tyrion got bars, shuts him down. His Dar is kind of like, look, Danny's kind of like, so this is necessary. He's like, yes, this is a vital part of Marine. Marine, well, this has been done since before either of us were in Marine and will be done long after we're both gone. Tyrion is like, my father would have liked you. Danny is like, I don't like this. And if need be, I'll destroy Marine and it'll be gone well before either of us is. And his Dar is just like, look, these men are choosing to fight here. Why won't you honor that choice? And Danny is like, I will choose whether this city survives or not. And his Dar kind of hits her with the, so they don't know their own minds, but you do. So you know what's best for everybody. Real freedom is getting to make a choice, not being forced into one. And
point there.
He does have a point, but it's not a fair point because he's completely ignoring the fact that only a certain group of people ever really seem to end up fighting in the pits.
Very true. It's not masters.
Yes, he's ignoring institutional racism, really, is what it is. Like, he's the guy sitting there going, I mean, They're choosing to participate in this blood sport. Why won't you let them choose? And he kind of ignores the fact that, well, I mean, also the way our city was set up for generations means that they don't have a lot of choices because they've never had access to the kind of education or money that it takes to not have to go into the pits in order to earn money and freedom.
Mm-hmm. Classes.
Yes, which is why Tyrion is like, well, my father would have liked you because you're all for supporting the status quo, especially if it means killing a few people who you view as beneath you anyway and ignoring the conditions that got us there.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
Go on.
your boy, Sir Friendzone, a slave for love, literally shows up. There's a great point where Dario literally hushes Hizdar, where Hizdar tries to go, my queen, and Dario's like, not a word. You shut up, you.
Shut the fuck up.
And Hizdar shuts up. How badly you're married to her. Her side piece tells you to shut up, and you shut up. It's a rough life, man. So then Jorah gets into the fight. Jorah gets saved by a lucky spear. I'd also like to note, all the dark people die in the first round of this fight.
That's some bullshit.
Is some real bullshit. All of them are dead. Jorah gets saved by a lucky spear, which part of me wondered, is this part of what Hizdar was setting up? Like, was he off making sure that, like, did he find out ahead of time that Jorah was going to be there and want to make sure that he made it to the last round of the fight? Or was he setting something up? This was, yeah, obviously I know what people thought afterwards was Hizdar's doing. But when I was watching it, I thought, was this what Hizdar was trying to set up so that Jorah would make it to the very end of the fight and then either live or die right in front of Dany?
And of course, after Sir Friendzone, he looks over there with Dany, and Dany's like, oh no.
Yeah.
All this fucker here again. And he does something we did not see coming. He takes...
Well, 1 second. There was actually one thing I wanted to jump back to. There's a point where Tyrion looks at Dany and tells her, you can end this. Mm-hmm. And Hizdar's like, no, you can't stop this. You know, this is the way of Meereen. And Tyrion's like, no, you can make a new way. And Dany doesn't choose. She freezes and gets paralyzed by the choice between saving someone she cares about from a terrible system, but she knows it will disrespect everyone of Meereen and potentially return them to the problems they had before with the Sons of Harpy attacks, when she has to actually choose a concrete example between the kind of world that she says she wants to build, where people don't have to buy and die in this kind of blood sport through the avatar of Jorah, versus the kind of city that Hizdar wants, where the blood sport and classism returns. She freezes. She doesn't choose. She gets let off by Spear Guy killing the guy attacking Jorah, and then the fight continuing between those two. She doesn't make the choice, which I thought was somewhat telling of where Dany has been at this whole season, where when presented with the tougher choices, she doesn't choose unless she's forced.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, because all season we have been yelling at her, like, please get it together.
Yeah.
She's learning.
Slowly. Like, she still failed that one. So, and then you were saying.
Then, from Friendzone, looks behind, he takes a spear. Yeah. And he shoots it. And at first, I thought he had gone Fatal Attraction and was shooting that at Dany or Dany's husband or somebody. But we look behind. Gold Bass is one of the sons of the Harpies.
Yep.
Then around the stadium, other sons of the Harpies just start showing up. And I'm thinking to myself, they didn't have security back then that checked people at the gate.
Apparently not. Apparently they don't do bag checks. There were no pat downs. They just let them in without any checks. And so now Sons of the Harpy are everywhere. Though I also did notice that the Sons of the Harpy, none of them appeared to be wearing the commoner or slave clothing.
Mm-mm.
Almost every one of them you see is wearing brightly colored robes that suggest people who are middle or upper class, former masters, or free men who were living in the city, not slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when the fight broke out. The Sons of the Harpy they don't seem to be killing everyone. Like they seem to be really going for a panic. They grab and start killing a lot of the Unsullied, and they kill some of the spectators, but an awful lot of spectators seem to run past the Harpies without them doing anything to them.
Mm-hmm. Because their focus is, of course, Daenerys.
Yes, they're coming for her. And Ser Jorah somehow gets up onto the thing that Dany is on and starts, to help save them. We get another reminder: spears are terrible close quarter weapons, which is part of why the Unsullied keep dying, because their main weapon is designed for a battlefield, not close quarters combat in a city.
Mm-hmm. And then Ser Jorah was like, "Take my hand if you want to live." And Daenerys is like, "Oh, fuck it."
And all of us wince because we know he has the grayscale. Like, no, you're gonna catch it. You're gonna catch it. Don't do it. Put a glove on.
Wear a condom.
And so she takes his hand anyway and lets her down. Tyrion saves Missandei. We were worried about her for a minute there. We thought the Harpies might get her. Tyrion comes in, shows us why he survived the Battle of Blackwater. Run up, get done up.
My homie Tyrion.
So they get down onto the field, and then Jorah's like, "Follow me, we can get out here." Of course, the door gets shut. They're trapped in that way. Then Dario's like, "Follow me to the other side," which we should have known was a terrible plan because Dario's always wrong.
And fucking wrong. And then we have the moment, and I have to tell you, I was watching this episode with my mother because she's a big she became a very, very big Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah.
And anyway, we were watching the scene, and we were like, well, damn, this would be a nice time if the dragon showed up.
Yeah, they're surrounded. They're about to get taken out.
And you're like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And what do we hear? And I was like, my baby Drogo back. Drogo back.
Everyone freezes. Like, wait, is that what we think it was? Then you hear it again. Mm-hmm. And then he flies into view. Drogon's here.
Running like Bobby Brown in the Thug Loving video.
And everyone goes, oh, right. Dragons. That's part of how she got here.
Mm-hmm. And it was like, my mom was funny. She said, like, Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Because he said
Drogon shows up like
Drogon
it's lit.
said, you not finna mess with my mama. Drogon turned to a black kid because he's like, you're not finna mess with my mama.
I mean, he is the black one and the biggest one. So he's like, hey. I also thought you have to be real dedicated to your cause if you're going to try and fight a dragon. Like, he's already burst a bunch of them into flames, which we also note Dragon Flame does not discriminate because he burns at least one Unsullied up in those flame attacks. Mm-hmm. Like, someone who was defending Daenerys gets burnt up too. And he just is roasting everything he can see. And someone thinks, I'm going to throw a spear at him. Like, how dedicated to your cause do you got to be to stick around after the dragon shows up and go, I can take him?
That's some damn dedication, because as soon as I saw Drogon, bye.
Yeah, I'd have been with all the ones who left. Dany calls out to him, and Drogon kind of yells for a second, and then is like, oh, hi, Mom. I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
What's there to eat? I have laundry.
Drogon just came back from college, basically.
Yes. So they try to take him down, but Dany realizes what it is she has to do if she's going to save Drogon and everybody else. Well, maybe everybody else, but at the very least, Drogon. And she hops on his back, riding the dragon, hashtag surfboard.
Why sons of dragons, bitches?
She finally got that How to Train Your Dragon Blu-ray DVD in and was like, hey, I know this. I know this.
Someone said on Twitter, she finally has enough badges to train Charizard.
So she steps up her level. She gets the hops on Drogon's back. She kind of ditches everybody. Like, I realize everyone is kind of staring up at her like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. This is the first person to ride a dragon in hundreds of years. Also, all of your friends are still down there, surrounded by the few remaining harpies, and you just left. Like, peace.
At least you're gonna have to build some armor for those dragons. I'm just saying.
Yeah, she's got to do something. Like,
You're
stuff
in.
went down.
You're in Marine near Bravos. Find some Valyrian steel. Make an armor for the dragons.
Well, I mean, she may have unlocked the secret of riding dragons. We don't know that she's unlocked the secret of Valyrian steel, other than she has dragons to, forge it.
Mm-hmm.
But from the sound of it, there were also like magic spells and stuff that may have been done while it was being made, which is why so few people can even like, who was it? Tywin talks about how they had to ship someone over from Essos just to get it to be redone to make the two new swords. Like, that alone required a master craftsman. So we don't even know if with Daenerys' dragons, if anyone could figure out how to make a new Valyrian steel.
Mm. Well, she's closer to Essos than Tyrion Lannister was, so.
Yeah, so she's got that going for her. But yeah, the episode ends with Dany taking flight, flying past the Great Pyramids, and Tyrion and crew watching in awe, shocked at seeing her ride a dragon. You get a bit of that moment that Jorah was talking about, where it's tough to be a cynic after seeing that. Though I'm sure cynicism will come back very quickly when they realize she left them.
That mixtape fire coming.
Yes. And so then...
Don't Leave Me, Khaleesi, the debut album.
Yes, they got ditched. But it was still a great ending to an episode. We got the episode 9 surprising death. We got dragons back with Dany riding the dragon. We got some progress at the wall. Pretty action-packed episode for, again, missing half the story. And we got a little movement in Dorne for missing like half the storylines, or at least what feels like half the storylines. We got a lot out of this episode.
We got a lot because did we even go to Dorne last episode?
I don't think
no, we didn't, because they spent most of it in the north.
Yeah, that was most of it. It was in the north. That was the episode before that, I think, where Bronn was in jail and all that.
Yeah.
And he got poisoned. So yeah, last episode we didn't get any Dorne.
We were mostly north and King's Landing.
Yeah.
And Marine.
Yeah.
Daenerys and Tyrion met, and he was advising her.
Yes, So that was episode 9. Next week, episode 10, the last episode of the season. Mother's Mercy. It is directed by David Nutter. I believe he's the one who did the last episode. So we all liked the last episode. I think the direction was done pretty well. So he's doing this one. It was written by Benioff and Weiss, the showrunners and main writers for the series. The plot: Stannis marches. Dany is surrounded by strangers. Cersei seeks forgiveness. Jon is challenged.
We already know Jon challenged. That's no secret.
Yes. So
He is a Stark.
So someone else is going to challenge Jon, apparently. Stannis is apparently going to begin his march after sacrificing his daughter. It looks like we're going to get some more of Dany's storyline, so she may not have just ridden off and left her friends, but it also says she's surrounded by strangers, so who knows? I guess it's a question of, can she make Drogon land where she wants him to, or is he just kind of going to go where he wants?
Mm-hmm.
And then Cersei seeks forgiveness. I'm guessing that that's going to be a focus of the episode, since it is titled Mother's Mercy. And we did hear the High Sparrow say that if you confess your sins, then you'll be shown the Mother's Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing we're going to finally deal with Cersei and Marjorie's trials in this episode. We'll get to see what the actual whole reaction is to Jon showing up with these wildlings, and then Stannis will actually begin to march on Winterfell now that everyone hates him.
And I think someone came up, but even then, even though we fucking hate Stannis, he's probably one of the things that might help the Starks get Winterfell back.
Yeah, and I mean, that's they talked about how complicated the show is. Like, I mean, I feel like that is in some ways almost the part that plays, as you know, people talk about, well, it's based on his. No, it's not based on, like, there was no period of time in which people rode dragons. Yes, he draws a lot of inspiration from history, and that is arguably one of the things that is very inspired by history, is this idea that sometimes terrible people are a necessary part of history, or your hope depends on someone who's not that great doing something you need them to. Like, in this case, the Starks, or what's left of the Starks in this case, Sansa needs Stannis to show up and attack in order to get, control of Winterfell. I mean, that doesn't make him great or awesome. It just means that he's necessary for what it is she wants.
And it's just, and Sansa looks like she's learning a little bit. Yeah. And at this time, she's like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen to me now?
Yes.
I have to stay with Ramsay for the rest of my fucking life. I can try to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and so we do get the sense that part of Stannis marching is definitely going to be what else is happening right now in Winterfell, since we do see her in the preview for the next episode. We saw everyone sitting around kind of waiting for Dany to come back. And I mean, from the sound of the preview, from the sound of the next episode, we're going to get to see something happen with Cersei, and probably Marjorie too, I would guess.
And I'm trying to think, do I feel sorry for her? No.
Yeah, no one really feels bad for Cersei, but she did bring this basically all on herself, which is why everyone's kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, bitch, that's what you get for being petty.
Yeah. So, but that is episode 9. Season 5, Game of Thrones. We have been #GoTYaThrones. We do this every Monday. We'll be doing this 2 more times. 1 time for your mind, also for episode 10 of the season. We will be doing this again after that on June 22nd. 9, 8 Central over on Spreecast, where we will take questions, comments. You can live chat with us. Tweet at us at the hashtag GoTYaThrones ahead of time, or comment on these videos either on YouTube or on the site if you have any questions or comments that you would like for us to answer during that show. If you like our show, like our videos, leave us a review on Stitcher. If it's a 5-star review, we will read it on the air regardless of what it says. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Stitcher. You can visit us at 3fifthspodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at the number 3fifthspodcast. I am at AYRRYK on Twitter. She is at Carmela Lusta. Thank you all so much for watching. We have a lot of fun doing these. And again, thank you, CC, for doing these reviews with me, taking time out of your busy schedule to do these reviews with me.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening. Like, share, retweet, all of that great stuff. And if you have been liking, sharing, and retweeting, know that we appreciate it so much. That is how we get word about these things out, especially with us just starting out, especially on the Game of Thrones podcast, and getting so many more views than I think either of us expected. So thank you so much for doing that. And please continue to keep up with it, because it's a good part of why we even keep doing these is you all support. So thank you so much. We have been GoTYaThrones. Me and Cece will see you guys next week.
Later.
Peace.